Hi, this is Steve Elliker here, your Living Life on Purpose coach. And I want to talk to you today about a topic that's close to my heart, namely the role of the inner child in self-coaching and coaching our clients. And this topic is based on the familiar coaching theory that all of life's problems and negative scenarios are the subject of limiting beliefs or negative core beliefs. That obstructive thoughts and behaviour arise from these limiting beliefs and are formed through childhood wounding experiences. My belief is that it's the child within us that carries those limiting beliefs into adulthood. So if we want to ameliorate those negative beliefs, then we need to understand the wounds of our unique inner child. Now, coaching can provide what our inner child, unique to each client, needs to change in their lives and move forward. And I can illustrate this by sharing something that happened to me recently. I was on my way to a meeting to get a quote for some house repairs, and I was aware that I was feeling anxious, partly because I've not met this person before and partly because I imagined I would need to negotiate the price. How would I chat with this person, and what questions would I ask? How would our dialogue progress? Would I ask the right questions? Would I get the outcome I wanted? And this reminded me of my early counselling and coaching career, namely the same experience. Would I ask the right questions? Would I achieve the outcome the client was looking for? And of course, the anxiety of getting it right. And I decided my anxiety was to do with the uncertainty of this whole scenario and how much control I believed I wouldn't have of my desired outcome. Well, there's nothing unusual about that, except it sounds like I was giving my power away and influence and disempowering myself in the process. However, on reflection, I did in fact have more power and control of the outcome than I realised. I mean, I had the power to say yes or no. And also I could realise a sense of control by managing my anxiety, by stepping into the present moment. What I mean by that is outcome anxiety is always future-based. So by focusing on my body with intention to my breathing and awareness of my feet touching the ground and my raising my sensitivity to the sounds around me, I could keep myself in the present moment and away from the thoughts that were triggering my feelings. So then I decided to dig deeper into my psyche, understanding that anxiety was a response from my younger self because my anxiety was simply disproportionate to the scenario. I recognised that managing my younger self's feeling of anxiety with grounding techniques was in fact an adult strategy. There is a tendency in our Western society to be disappointed or even ashamed of our feelings. We can shame ourselves about feelings of anxiety, especially when we escalate to becoming anxious about our anxiety. A kind of double whammy of debilitating feeling. Well, I'm suggesting something different. Namely that my younger self's feelings actually inform me and need to be fully acknowledged, heard and valued as an important part of who I am, rather than shamed, pushed away or denied. I suggest asking yourself, how are my feelings informing me? What can I do with my feelings? What are the thoughts that drive my feelings? Well, my take on this scenario is with feelings of anxiety, it's the adult who becomes disempowered. And especially when we feel anxious about our anxiety, it's my younger self or inner child that's now in charge. After all, it would normally be our adult self that would be parenting us through this process and taking control of that scared inner child and soothing him or her. We are usually, but clearly not always, taught how to do this by loving parents growing up. So an inner child that is anxious about feeling anxious is like a 4-year-old child who is almost tantruming, unable to control his or her fear and feeling alone with it all. So how can we bring back control to our frightened inner child? In this case, and certainly in my case, the answer is in the relationship that is established between our adult and our inner child. A we are in this together approach, namely, I'm the adult in charge, willing to make mistakes and learn, and you, my inner child, has the vitally important role of informing me of what and how I'm feeling. Also, an inner child who feels anxious is probably feeling alone with his or her feelings, and that's devastating for a young child. So in my view, managing this situation now needs to become a partnership, a team effort. Now over time, the inner child needs to learn to feel much less anxious, and he or she does this by experiencing life situations that evoke the very feelings that he or she is attempting to get rid of. So the only way to get the feeling experiences the client needs to give the inner child these life lessons learning is to do the one thing that he or she doesn't want to do, and that is to step out of your comfort zone and experience your reactive feelings. Feel them fully, acknowledge them, and value them. Because guess what? Feelings are harmless. They are body vibrations that are physiological responses to uncomfortable life experiences. Well, what's the point in that, I hear you say? Maybe I don't want to learn any life lessons, thank you. I'm content in my topsy-turvy world that is really quite familiar. Well, here's the thing. When you learn life lessons, lessons you should have been taught, frankly, by significant others growing up, you will get in touch with those pesky limiting beliefs. Negative beliefs like, I'm not good enough, there's something wrong with me, I just can't cope, I feel unlovable, and so on. And when you are in touch with your limiting beliefs, it makes them available for change. So when you address and shift your limiting beliefs, you no longer get the negative thoughts associated with your limiting beliefs, which reduces, if not eradicates, the negative feelings that drive the unwanted behaviour. It seems we've gone full circle now back to the anxious feelings that prompted this conversation in the first place. In summary, your adult takes control of your negative situation or problems and allows your inner child to experience his or her valid and valuable feelings in a way that informs you, the adult, that help is needed. Now, as a team or partnership, your adult with his or her existing life skills and inner child work together as a team in harmony to get the outcome you want and a life lesson learned. Namely, I no longer need to feel this anxious or anxious about my anxiety because it informs me and is validated by my adult self. So the more life lessons we learn by stepping out of our comfort zones, the less anxiety we feel, in this case around, for me, uncertainty and controlling outcomes, by dissolving the relevant limiting belief. Because together, both adult and inner child can hold the inner child's limiting beliefs up to the light and scrutinize them. Now, unfortunately, we don't get relief from our limiting belief responses to life situations by a one-time flick of a switch. You have to earn it by visiting and revisiting the discomfort of stepping outside your comfort zone with empathy and compassion. Now, coaching is key to your success in this process, and you will discover the decision you need to make in order to activate the life changes you're looking for. Also, the drive and commitment to move forward with change. And you do this with the guiding hand of a professional coach. Remember, only you can untie the knot you cleverly created as a way of protecting yourself in childhood. And I'll be the person who will show you how.